G'day, g'day. Here we are, Saturday night. It's time for Circa Contests. 2 weeks to go. I haven't even checked Christmas Day survivors, but it looked like everyone that was forced to pick something got through from what I quickly looked at on the day. Circa Millions, 2 weeks left. I haven't looked at my situation. I was tied 17th 3 weeks ago. I know I've shit the bed since then. Apparently, I'm still within the range of some money, but I've just thrown in the things, and I've actually tried to play against a number today with the Chargers, and that looks like it's going downhill as well. So, all right, Scott, here we are, Saturday night again. What do we got?
Well, I know we always start the show off with the top 5 picks, but I want to do something a little bit different tonight. And the reason why is we have several questions, and I think it's best to cover the questions first, at least one of them. Adam and Enos have both asked about this Charger game. I know the Charger game has already started, but can you tell us where the money was in that game, specifically where the master money was?
Yeah, and I was just looking at this, and it ended up turning out to be almost somewhat of a data play. But overall, we're looking at 61% of the money on Chargers and 88% of the master money on the Texans. I mean, that number did come down a little bit about 40 minutes before the game. I didn't see anything standing out. Just look at the pregame. Yeah, it was sort of a bunch came in at the +1.5 and then +1 sort of very late right before the game.
Gotcha. So you didn't get to broadcast anything before it started, but if you would have, then you would have recommended playing Texans?
Probably, unfortunately.
I understand.
Having just picked because I looked at the charts when I put in my plays today for the millions, and nothing stood out on that game at all. It was really late money that came in.
Late money. Okay. Well, let's talk a little bit about the next game, because the next game is going to start in about 45 minutes. So let's talk about that game first. That's the Green Bay game. Adam's asking about that, and Model Magic Lisa's also asking about that game. Can you talk a little bit about where the money's at in that game?
Yeah, we're looking at about 68% of the money's on the Ravens. Master money, there's not a lot of it right now. We're looking at about 76% of that at the Ravens. I mean, this one was sort of 3.5 dog money early on, then it went to 3, and now it's at a solid 2.5. So this has really been heading one direction. And again, it's rarely that we have this kind of recreational money on the underdog side, backed up by the master money here as well. So looking at the money line, bit more on the Packers, not really any master money there, but it's definitely Ravens money on this game.
Gotcha. Okay. The other question that we have, we can save towards the end. We'll go ahead and begin with our normal 5. Let's talk about that first game. Let me switch my screen over here so I can see the odds on Spot Odds. It looks like we've got the first most important game, or the most picked game, was none other than the Buffalo Bills. And that game looks like it was a pick on the contest. What are you seeing in this game?
Yeah, well, this is the one, I believe Josh Allen's never beaten the Eagles. Is it the one team he has not beaten for memory of the conversation so far this week? But right now we're looking at 54% of the money on the Eagles, 68% of the master money on the Eagles, but it's not a lot there. And I do believe, that a bulk of that was at 2.5 or 3 early in the week was when that master money came in. None of it's came in since they've been 1.5 or 1 on that side. There's actually been a little bit of Bills money. So playing the numbers, looking at the master chart, that's what needed some digging in, because the bulk of this is at 3, laying 20, and at the +2.5. It's not at numbers that are around now.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, let's look at the number 2 game. Let me take a look over here and see what the number is. It's the Bears. Looks like in the contest, the Bears were a +3.5. Where's the money at on this one? This is pick number 2, by the way.
Yeah, and this is one where I just think the 49ers are going to win this game and win it comfortably. The Bears have just hurt me week after week after week, waiting for them to blow. So they'll probably cover here. Again, I was looking at this being a 3.5. the easy, obvious pick is probably taking the Bears when the line looks solid 3. It's creeping back up to 3 minus money now. But we're looking at about 74% of the money on the 49ers, 67% of the master money is on the Bears. And if I just dive in a little closer, yeah, the bulk of that is at the 3, a little bit bought up to 3.5. So, this was one that when you looked at it and you're trying to find the ones where you're playing against the edge or the closing line value to take the Bears, and I thought, well, I'd be tricky here and try and go the other way in those spots just to try and make up some numbers. But like on this Chargers game, it's not really working.
I understand. Well, let's go to the third one then. Let's go to the New Orleans Saints. Looks like that's a favorite. Looks like it's 2.5.
Saints, let's see where this game is. Tennessee Titans. Yeah, this was another one, Saints and Titans. What a classic game this is. Titans, not a lot of money, but they do have 87% of the money is on the Titans. This one seemed like another one, and I did use this a few times. The 2.5 at home. The line's pretty solid 2 now. Of the small master money, it is 100% on the Titans. But if I dig into that, yeah, someone took it at +3, laying a little shorter price. So this is early money, getting in a position +3 at home with that home dog. But there's not a lot of money on this game.
Okay, so not a big deal there. Let's look at the fourth play of the people that use my proxy server. Looks like it's the Giants. Giants, a 1.5 point favorite here in this spot.
Yeah, so this one's actually kind of heading towards a data play. It's not quite enough money or volume to really sort of have the gumption to say this is it. But if I had to choose one out of today's games, and I'll go into another one shortly, this one is currently about 61% of the money's on the Raiders, but we're 87% of the master money's on the Giants. Again, classic game, 2 cracking teams. But if I look at the master money, a lot of it's there's a +2, +1 on the Raiders, and then -1, -1.5. So at the 2, 2.5, there's really no master action. It was all in early when the number was closer to pick 'em.
Gotcha. Well, let's take a look at number 5. 5 looks like it's the Seahawks on the road. Looks like the Circa line -7. Where are you seeing the money on this one?
Yeah, and this is pretty solid. And we're looking at 68% of the money on the Seahawks. But when I dive into it a little closer, I think a lot of this is teaser money. Yeah, significant teaser money on this one, taking it down to sort of 1, 1.5. And there's no master money at all. So it's really just the teaser play is really getting into this one.
So wait a minute. So when you're looking at your screen, you get to see the parlay money and the teaser money also?
Yeah, I can break it down. When I see the numbers of whatever those numbers are, I can dive into them a little bit better, closer. Now, some of that parlay money I'm extracting when I'm talking about these percentages, because for me, the parlay money doesn't really matter. But then I have to dig in a little bit when there's either around the 7, 8, 9s to see if people are generally teasing them down, to see if that, say there's 100,000 on one side, I can look in there and see if 80 of that's actually teaser money and how real that is, because then I'm looking to get more subjective percentages to the numbers, because saying there's 68% at the 7 or whatever number we're talking about, when 80% of that, 70% is teaser money, then it's not a true recognition at that number. So a lot of these numbers take a little bit more of digging into to see what's real money at the number that we're talking about.
Gotcha. Okay. That's interesting that you can see the parlay money, because it was always been, every place I've ever worked has never been able to do a what if on the parlay money. So your system is considerably better than any of the ones I've worked with.
Yeah, I mean, the goal is if we get a $100 10-team parlay, then $10 goes on each of them. And then as the games are graded or whatnot, then those numbers change based on the positioning of it. So that's ideally what it should do. Yes, a lot of systems don't do something as simple as that. But we've got it where generally, and for reporting and anything else. So if you have a 10-team parlay, 4 of them are on, 4 legs of baseball, 4 legs of basketball, and 2 of football. Well, when we run that report, we really want to be able to see that, that stake amount split into the 10 pieces and put into their right sports leagues, whatever else. Otherwise, what used to happen, and this system was no different, whatever the last leg was, generally was the one that got all the money. So if it was, Sunday night baseball or football, it just, soccer in the morning really got no credit for being the one that, these parlays lost on and stuff like that. So that's just been a difficult natural evolution of where this needed to get to. And it's not perfect, but it's closer.
Yeah, it's a lot closer, like I said, than any of the systems I've ever worked with. And I've worked for 2 different books. So that's very impressive. The last question we have is also from Model Magic Lisa. And I thought we might spend a little bit of time on this question because I think this is something that people in the audience would really be interested to hear you talk about. You started out as a bettor, and you did that for multiple years, and then you decided to switch and become a bookie. Which one of those would you recommend to somebody starting out today? And tell me why.
Never or, it's and. And my biggest strength has always been working in a shop when I'm betting. The value of the information coming across that bet ticker, the value of the information, it's, injury information, alerts, all these kind of things. And obviously you've seen over the last, 14, 15 months with these data plays, how strong, insanely strong that they've been. If you know what to do with those numbers and when they're coming in, if you know what to do with the certain players that come in, if you know what to avoid when certain things are coming in, there's just so much value. I will say there's very few bookmakers that are good bettors. Generally, there's a lot of bookmakers that lose their bonus trying to gamble and do this thing. A lot of bettors that are trying to become bookmakers. It's hard when you've got to trade every single game and have an opinion or have a number on every single game. It's a hell of a lot easier as a bettor to just see 100 games on the screen and say, all right, I'll pick those 3. Then be a bookmaker or an odds maker where you've got to price up the whole 100 and just get ready to be picked off on those 3 or 4 or 20 that, other people have put in the heavy work on a college basketball conference that shows up, for a few months a year. Bookmakers don't have the time, effort, things like that getting done on that. So generally it's been for me, yes, started as a bettor, but worked in bookmaking shops early, tried to just become a bettor sitting on the beach, didn't have the discipline for it, went back to the bookmaking side, traveled to the other side of the world, and then suddenly I was having, my daytime in Jamaica was nighttime in Australia when most places are sleeping, and I was picking off numbers, and then it'd cycle around and I'd be doing night shifts in Jamaica and all the American books would be sleeping and I'd be picking off numbers. But for me, it's an and. If you want to be a good bettor, and there's 2 sort of variations to this. If you're a syndicate or working with a team and things like this, then ideally you have someone within that team in the sports book giving the information. I think a lot of those syndicates as well are now starting to become market makers and that, realizing that their limitations of getting down. So now you have to be on the other side to get true liquidity and true ability to sort of, more volume, small return, equals a bigger bottom line number. But if you're just an individual trying to get into it, trying to learn, I'd go work for a good book or a good, bookmaker or somewhere where you can really get to trade and learn and see all the information coming in and just make sure that you're in a position where you can bet it out as well. So yeah, for me, it's always and not or. And those 2 worlds, if you can collide them together correctly, massive advantages. Even still today, I think there's massive advantages.
Very, very good information there. And I kind of followed the path that you're talking about in my own career. I originally went to work for a book because I was under the false belief that the books made the numbers. I thought they had some magical system, some magical thing. And you and I have talked about this a lot, but I thought they had some magical formula, some magical something that spit out a number. And I've worked for two different books, and I've seen both ways the numbers get created and put on the screen. The first way is they find a book that they respect and they copy the numbers. That's rule number one for a lot of books in this country. And rule number two, which I've worked for a book that does this too, where they actually had an logarithm running that would spit out their numbers, and then they would very aggressively move when the real action started coming in. So working for a book, the money is a lot safer, a lot more steady. There's no hills and valleys, but you have to admit, being on the other side of the counter, you get to control everything. You get to control your time, your effort, and the more effort you spend, the more time you spend, and the harder you work, the bigger your check is. I got to tell you, there's only one guy I would go to work for a book, and it's you. And maybe we should play that game someday and do an interview, or maybe we can have you interview Model Magic Lisa and see if she could be one of your traders. But I think it'd be more fun if it was me and you. We might have to do that sometime. What do you think about that?
Yeah, and I think those are two valid ways of doing it. If you're really good at trading, the bookmaker will let you have your time and freedom and whatnot and target the sports that you want to do it. If you, I mean, you know, it's best of the both worlds. I was happy working 100 hours a week because what else am I going to do? And that's where, you know, I was getting so many advantages. And today's very different than it was 20, 25 years ago, even 30 years ago. But you're also the best of both worlds. I could have a losing week, but I knew I was getting a paycheck each week, so I could make sure, you know, gamble pretty hard. The other massive advantage that I had, and it doesn't exist as much these days, is when I worked at a book, all the other books kind of knew where I was and if they needed to collect. So I could get credit, you know, endless amounts of credit, just through sort of reputation of knowing where I am, what I'm doing, and things like that. So that was a huge benefit and bonus. But it's really, you know, depending on what stage in life you're at, what you're trying to achieve from this. If you're trying to go all in on this and get as much advantage and as much edge as possible, then you throw in and you go work and you sort of do the, you know, learn the behind the scenes, learn how all the other bettors make mistakes, learn how guys run up their balances and just blow it all back, you know, learn how the books, the right books, will just pay winners as quickly as they can because they know they'll come back and just torch it as quick as they can. So there's sort of, you know, those kind of things. And today's world, you also get to learn how they profile the players and you get to learn the inner workings of that operation. When I left the Greek, I knew exactly their weak spots. I knew when to bet, how to bet, what limits to bet, what their auto move did, what this did, what that did. And I sure as hell made them pay once I left. The other aspect of it, and again, all very much a different world these days, I become a massive second half NBA bettor because I saw the odds maker over in the corner talking to a girl or pumping iron or something. Someone would say halftime, they'd wander over, they'd say, what was the closing line? What's the score? And make a second half number. Yet I'm looking at the box score and seeing, you know, Lakers are shooting at 22% field goals and the others ran hot at 60%. We know that that's not going to continue on, and there's massive opportunities in those spots. So while you don't get the advantages that you got many years ago, you do get to learn, one, who's the best gamblers on the planet. Especially I've worked at books that are bet takers, you know, don't limit, don't kick out. So I had that advantage for a long time. And then if you feel that you can see a weakness or something within their systems, hell, go say, hey, I want a job. Let me come work for you. Let me be your mover. Let me, there's so many doors that it can open by sitting on the receiving side and seeing the people coming through the door to place their bets, to learn what they're doing and how it might fit with what you're trying to do, and then ultimately evolve into that. There's just, it's such a fun thing. I haven't worked a day in my life. I've just gambled, watched sports, watched horse racing, and I've had a lot of fun with it, met a lot of people and having a great time with it these days as I'm, now gambling on companies and CEOs and investments and all this stuff. But still comes down to the same guidelines and premises of, handicapping a game.
I could not agree with you more. I cannot believe that I get paid to do with what I do, because I work for Spanky, taking care of tech support for Spot Odds. And I'm also able to use the product for all of my gambling. So I literally have the best of both worlds. But I got to tell you, it would be a lot of fun to book for you.
Well, I'll tell you, that's the other thing. The Spot Odds, the unabated tools, all these other things, a lot of the books have these tools in-house. So suddenly you get access and users to all of these different tools where they're internally looking at to see how to make their numbers better and who's coming in, and the edge tools that the odds jams and all these others have as well. So there's a lot of free subscriptions per se when you're working in certain entities as well and getting access to those things. So we're a good shop to sit behind the screen, because you get to see every true bettor around the world coming in from different places and whatnot. And that's ultimately what, gives you the best education. There's not a lot of places that are doing that now. It's a little different, I'm sure. Again, working at some of the Nevada books and that, maybe not as exciting as what some of the others can be. And that's just generally globally of the way that the whole thing's moving. But yeah, for me, it's take the opportunity, look for those spots where you can learn different things, and make the most of it.
All right, you've sold me. Here's what I need you to do. Open a book in Nevada and post a job opening. I want to be the first one to apply. Because like I said, I think it'd be a lot of fun to work for you. But I can't leave Spanky. I got to keep this tech support job. But you know what? I can juggle more than one thing at a time. So I still think it'd be a great time. Adam, I think it would be so much fun. So when can you open that book in Nevada for me?
I don't think we'll ever come to Nevada, but I mean, down to exit 2, set up a little mobile office. I mean, who knows what can happen there.
I don't know if I want to move to Arizona or not, but I have to think about it. I have spent a lot of time at exit number 2, though. That's a cool place to hang out. And it would be a great place for a coffee shop if anybody's listening and has an opportunity to buy that and put up a good place for people to sit there and make their bets in Arizona. I can't believe it. Every time I go there, there's at least 2 or 3 cars all on this hidden gravel road parking lot area that you just have to know it's there to find it. And I think it's just really cool. Adam, another thing about your book that is extremely different than most books is you don't throw anybody out. And that probably helps you more than you think it does, because now you don't have to wonder who's betting. You actually get to see their name. And so there's no beards that are necessary to book like that. You have to admit that gives you a huge advantage, right?
For me, that's the key to the whole thing. That's why I say if I had the liquidity and the databases that a FanDuel or a DraftKings or I guess even a Caesars, MGM, I'd be opening up those limits and letting them fly, especially on things like NFL and stuff like that, where, the edges are so minimal. And once you find the right number and open up to true limits for anybody else, and there's very few people that you want to have any kind of restriction on, just letting them open and letting them fly. That's the key to the whole thing, in my opinion.
Well, but if there's somebody that you think is that good, when they bet, just need their side, move the line. I mean, it's not complicated. It really isn't. The places that kick bettors out are just wrong because they get all this weird action when they could actually be on this player's side that they're afraid of. Just move the line to need that side. That's what you do, right?
That's it. I mean, that's the name of the game. Take a bet, move the number, know which side to be on. Just a note here. We've got Mark asking if there's any splits on the late 2 bowl games tonight. So I just brought up those charts. I think the Virginia, Missouri just kicked off. Super well balanced book. Master charts like 53% on Missouri there. LSU, Houston, we're looking at 55% on LSU, 96% master money on LSU. If I'm looking at it, generally a lot of that was at 2.5, 2, 1.5, but they're still taking the 1 as well. So just a bit of added information there. But yeah, I mean, going back to it, for me, that's always been the key. Take the real bet, get the real action, know what to do with it, and then open your limits for any other Tom, Dick, and Harry to come in and bet whatever the hell they want to do, because you know what either the right side is or the right number is. I mean, the data play, all we're doing is taking whatever the high percentage of master money is versus the recreational money and just saying, okay, let the Recs go. They can bet whatever they want because this is telling us that this is the number where we want the actions and this is where we want to be. And I mean, I hate tipping stuff. I hate sort of saying out loud what I like and what, because I just, for 30 years, just thought it was a jinx and I'd, bring down my house. I had that much control on games that, me speaking out would, what we've done last season with that run we had of, whatever it was. This year, I think we started slow and then we went on like an 8-week tear or something like that. Christmas Day, Minnesota money line and spread. And that's all it is. It's just the bookmaking model of let everyone bet, let everyone get the house limit and go from there. And I think it's shown that it's, it works. So yeah, it's a struggle to try and explain this to people and get them to see it differently. But that's the challenge of it all. And the good thing is, because no one else really wants to do it, it actually gives us a niche and a runway to be able to do it this way and try and build something. Because if everyone did it, we'd be screwed ultimately.
Yep, it's always good to be slightly different. I definitely agree with that. But looking here at spot odds, I didn't get a chance to give you this update, but it looks like the Chargers have went down. They ended up losing that ball game at home 20-16, and the Missouri game looks like Missouri is already up 7-0. So just a little scoring updates I'm seeing in my right monitor here on spot odds showing me the score. So I thought I'd let you know those. Is there anything else that we should talk about besides me working for you as your first bookmaker in the state of Nevada? Is there anything else you want to talk about?
No, I think that's it for today. Just spent the morning out on the road in Jamaica, handing out all the care packages and whatnot. Was definitely an experience. Place has been torn up. A lot of people have very little, so it's kind of just doing what we can and whatnot. But it's gives you a realization of, again, how lucky we are and what we get to do every day. It's really hard to complain when you go out there and get amongst it and see how the rest of, how a portion of the world lives, kind of thing. So all in all, yeah, good day, results, good or bad, just doesn't matter. We'll be here to bet again tomorrow. There'll be another Millions next year. There'll be another Survivor next year. So yeah, just get through the next 4 or 5 days and bring in the new year. And I mean, there's so much sport on right now. It's,
yeah.
What would you rather be doing?
There's nothing I'd rather do. I have fun every single day doing this. So I couldn't ask for a better life. And you talking about the Jamaica problem really makes you stop and think, because we complain about stuff every day, but we truly have nothing to complain about. I I can't imagine there's one single person in the whole country of Jamaica that wouldn't trade everything to trade lives with me, because we have it so good in this country. So how can I really complain?
Yeah. So on that note, again, everyone, good luck with your betting tomorrow. There's some really bad games, so be careful of getting too involved in too much. Still games going on today, and getting ready for playoffs. 2 weeks to go, and get ready for January, the bowls, the rest of the playoff college championships, and everything else in front of us. So good luck to everyone, and hope you have some winners tomorrow.
Yeah. Thanks for watching, everybody. Have a good night.
All right. See you later.